Hi y'all. In this video I'll go over some examples of making truth tables. The method I'll discuss is somewhat different than the method used in the book, so please watch this video carefully. I would like everyone to attempt my method a few times just to see if it works well for you. If you have another method that you prefer that works every time, you are welcome to use it. For those of you who are having problems with the method in the book or are unable to do some of the truth tables, please try my method. I've found that a lot of students like it and are able to use it quite well with some practice. It will take you a few times to use it. But before we look at my method, I want to review the facts about the different connectives and how they work in a truth table setting. For the negation, one way to look at this is that we're looking for where it's true, and if the original statement was true, if P is true, then what happens if that condition is met? Then the negation of P is false. Otherwise, the negation of P is true. This is probably not how we'll do most of the truth tables. For a negation, it has the opposite truth value of whatever you started with. But I'm going to write that down for now, and you'll see why later. For the AND situation, we'll say P and Q is true when P and Q are both true. So we're looking for where both P and Q are both true. Let's write that a little bit differently. We're looking for where P is true and Q is true. Well, what's going to happen with that is that P and Q will be true then. Otherwise, P and Q is false. Again, what we're going to see what the AND is, we're going to look for where P and Q are both true. Where that happens, the AND statement is true. Otherwise, it's false. For the OR statement, we're going to look for where P is false, Q is false, and that when that's the situation, P or Q is false. Otherwise, P or Q is true. For the conditional, for the if-then statement, we're going to look for where P is true and Q is false. Again, this is the only one where the order matters. That is, the first one is true, the second one is false. In fact, I'm going to write it like that. First part is true, second is false. Well, with the first, if first, then second, that's false. When the first thing was true, the second was false. Otherwise, the if then is true. Our last statement, the biconditional, where P and E is the same as Q. We're going to see that P if and only if Q is true. Otherwise, P if and only if Q is false. These are the conditions we're going to be looking for on our truth tables. Please write this down and work on toward memorizing these values, this relationship. This is a table that you're going to need to know everything about and how to use those. You'll hear me use this verbiage in exactly the way I explained it throughout the rest of this video and the other truth table examples video, but you need to know these yourselves. That is, take out note cards, make note cards, something like this to memorize these. Now we'll look at another example. In this example, I want to make a truth table for P and not Q. Alright, P and the negation of Q. We will start off all of our truth tables that involve two statements in this way, with P as true, true, false, false, and Q as true, false, true, false. This is always our beginning statement here. Now, when I look at this, I see a couple things going on. I see this negation and I see the AND. And you need to pay attention to some orders to things. And we're going to talk about some other features of the negation and or and stuff like this as we talk through this, but this is important. Negations always work with exactly one of the statements. I'm negating Q. The conjunction, the disjunction, the conditional, and the biconditional always act on exactly two things. Here, this is acting on P along with not Q. So to be able to do this and, I need to have a column in my truth table that has P. Well, I have that. I also need one with not Q in it. That I don't have yet, so I need to make one. All right. One other feature I'm going to do throughout these is I'm going to make use of numbers. I'm going to number my columns. My experience suggested enormously strongly that this is a helpful thing to do. It's not a particularly natural thing to do, So you'll have to follow along with me, but you're going to want to number your columns. So I'm going to number P1 and Q2, and that's what I will do throughout the rest of the examples. Column 1 is column 1, column 2 is column 2. What I need next now is the negation of Q. Well, the negation of Q is really the negation of what I have in column 2, and I'm going to write it that way. Some of you may also want to write the negation of Q there. That's fine. And I'm going to bear in mind that this is column 3. The negation of column 2, as I look through here, the negation of something that's true is false. The negation of something that's true, false is true. The negation of something that's true is false. The negation of something false is true. I will go through a lot of these very quickly. You may want to rewind the video and watch that again if you're not following along this. I will continue to go on though. So again, this is representing the negation of Q right here. What I want my overall thing is to have P and not Q. Alright, looking at this, that should be P and what I have in column 3. That is, I want to have 1, what I have in column 1, and column 3 in this final column. And this will be the last column on here. I'm going to perform the AND operation here. The AND tells me to look for where both of the things, in this case what's in column 1 and column 3, are true. They're not true here. They are both true here. When that's the case, the AND is true. They're not both true here. They're not both true here. Alright, so when they're both true, as I see here, the AND is true. Otherwise, in every other situation, they were not both true. It's false. And this is the resulting truth table for P and not Q. There are a few other ways to write it, but what you really need to notice about this is that my final result is equivalent to P and not Q. Kind of peeling this back, 3 was not 2, which was 2 is Q. Writing that 3 there is equivalent to not Q. 1 was P. This is the correct truth table. False, true, false, false. In this next example, I want to make a truth table for not P or not Q. Looking at that entire thing, you'll notice I have a not P and a not Q, but I don't have those yet on my truth table. So let's put those in. So I'll take the negation of 1, that is not P, put that in column 3, and I want to see that I'm negating what's in column 1. Well, negation of something that's true is false. Negation of something that's true is false. Negation of something that's false is true. Negation of something that's false is true. So I should have in column 3, false, false, true, true. In column 4, I will put the negation of Q, which is the negation of what's in column 2. Going through that, and I would highly recommend that you cover up your columns and your truth tables with your arm or a pencil or something like that. Maybe a finger. The negation of something that's true is false. Negation of something false is true. Negation of something true is false. Negation of something false is true. So at this point, I've negated P, I've negated Q. So I have both of these parts together in columns 3 and 4 respectively. So what I really want, again, I have this in 3, I have this in 4. I want to do 3 or 4. The rule we'll want to pay attention to with OR is that when they're both false, the OR is false, otherwise it's true. Here I see columns 3 and 4 are both false. In the first row, that makes this false. They're not both false here, they're not both false here, they're not both false here. I'm going to follow that first part of the rule through every single row to make sure that I find all of the places where that particular part of the compound statement is true. But again, here we're seeing it's the values in column 3 and 4 are false, so the OR is false. And in each of the other cases, the OR tells me it should be true. In the last example on this video, I want to consider to make a truth table for the negation of the quantity P and Q. Looking at this, you need to be real careful. Again, the negation is referring to the entire amount within those parentheses the P and Q. To be able to negate that thing, I need to somewhere have that thing. That is, I need here on my truth table to put P and Q, which I'll write as 1 and 2. So column 3 involves 1 and 2. So looking back here, the AND rule tells me to look for where both of those things are true. That is, the things in column 1 and 2 in this case are true. That's in row 1. Not here, not here, not here. Again, they're not both true in any of the other rows. Therefore, in every other row, it's false according to the AND rule. I'm negating all of that thing. That is, I'm negating what's in column 3 overall. So my final answer for this truth table should be the negation of what was in column 3. The negation of something true is false. The negation of something false is true. Negation of something false is true. Unless the negation of something false is true. So this would be the final answer for my truth table. So the negation of P and Q, the final column in a truth table should be false, true, true, true. I'll have more examples on the next video. Have fun with logic.